Thank you very much to all speakers. And, well, you know the drill now. It's question time. If you'd like to ask a question, please put your hand up. We have our roving microphone princesses who will bring the microphone to you. Please just identify who you are and then who you'd like to address your question to. So any questions? One up the front here. Thanks, Jen. Does anyone know where Tangangamba is?
It's near Albury Wodonga.
Down near Albury, yeah. Other side of the river.
Yes.
Not New South Wales side. Sorry, I interrupted. Question?
Hello, I'm Deb Charlton. My question for Sue. With your study, you were saying about the 68% in residential care were Australian, the staff. I was wondering where you got those statistics, because having worked in residential care, I'd say that's very skewed the other way in my experience.
Institute of Health and Welfare.
Right. Is that very recent?
2016.
Yeah, maybe it's just a Sydney experience, but...
Could be. These are national figures.
Yeah, thank you.
So sorry, Sue, what was the answer again? Because a lot of people didn't hear, I didn't have the mic over. So that came from...
The question was, where did I get the stats from? And Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, 2016. It's on the slide if you want to go back.
We'll have to go all the way back to the start. Yeah. Talk amongst yourself while we're doing this. Any more questions? Yeah, there we go.
Thanks. My name is Bianca Bridgenup. I'm from the National Ageing Research Institute. My question's for Kylie and the SOS team. So you said the SOS team was developed to try and reduce avoidable ED presentations.
That's right.
And a lot of times from those health services we engage with, they tell us that sometimes elder abuse can come through the ED. So I guess the question I've got is, have you found in this outreach program that you are A, diverting ED presentations, but B, actually picking them up through the outreach service?
Yes, absolutely. My role as a clinical nurse consultant that covers the asset service in Sutherland ED, so Aged Care Services Emergency Team, and that's where I created the vision for the South Care Outreach Service. I noticed that a lot of people were coming through to ED that A, didn't need to be there, or B, their care would be better off placed in their own home. So when innovation money became available in 2013, I put my hand up and created the service really to fill that gap. We pick up a lot of elder abuse situations by getting into the house for other means, really. A fall or lots of falls, mobility issues and that sort of thing. But I guess because the team in ED, they probably pick up a few warning flags, a few red flags, and then they have a service that can go into the home and really explore them more. So it was very evident to us that we needed to add a social worker in. We didn't originally have a social worker, and we've just gotten one into the service because we are uncovering a lot of complex issues such as elder abuse. Yeah. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah. We've got time for one more question. We better give the superintendent...
Well, at the risk of hogging the whole day, because I do like the attention, Kylie's presentation makes an interesting point about policing and intervening in their situations, and that we can't do everything, and nor should we do everything. Like, the law is finite, and it shows the complexities of some of these issues. And there are often cases that come to me through the helpline, for example, about an older gentleman that gets honeypotted by a younger lady with bad intentions, but the older gentleman commits money through happiness and bad decisions, and everyone's allowed to make bad decisions, so you can't intervene every time. What's also demonstrated by the case study is that sometimes our informal involvement is just as good as formal involvement. By making a phone call saying, we need to speak to you, or you need to go to hospital, that achieved a result. So, it's if you don't ask our help, we can't help at all. But I think sometimes we are bound by limits and rules and legislation, which is how it should be, but we can intervene and assist. There are offences available to us under Section 44 of the Crimes Act in New South Wales, which is failing to provide the necessities of life. It was copied over from child abuse legislation or child neglect legislation. It's a difficult section, which I've actually written a paper on. Sue Phil's going to publish, hopefully, to reform it a bit, to make it a bit more accessible. But Section 44 of the Crimes Act is failing to provide necessities of life, medication, water, food, shelter and so forth, and it is available to us and is a very useful thing. If your police you meet don't know about it, suggest Section 44. It's a good one. Thanks and good presentation.
Thanks, Robert. There was a lady in green over here. I don't think that classifies as a question, so we can have one more question, can't you? That was really a statement from the police. So one more question and then we'll wind up.
Louise Hoitzner at Flinders University, and it follows on from that. There's a requirement to report children that are abused if they present in hospital. Is there a requirement to report older people, for example, an older person coming from residential aged care covered in bruises? Is there a requirement to report, and who do you report to? Or is it different in every state?
You can report it, but it's not mandatory reporting. So the Healthcare Complaints Commission, etc., those sorts of things that we have, but it's not mandatory to report, no. And I guess, for us, not having dealt with sort of this complex issue, because of course our case study, we were dealing with two individuals that didn't have capacity. So while we talk a lot in our work about people have the right to make bad decisions, they obviously have the capacity to do that. Whereas in this instance, we didn't have people with capacity, hence a guardian was appointed. But when we think about children going missing, we hear about it on the news, there's these alerts, and we're like, find this lady for us. We just really didn't realise the limitations that we were going to face. We thought we'd done everything to bring her in,
And in residential aged care, compulsory reporting of assault, but it's compulsory, it's not mandatory. And, you've hit on, I think, one of the weaknesses in the system that I know a lot of care workers feel very strongly about. I think we're getting the hint that it's time to go, so thank you very much. And can you thank our people, our talkers, and very interesting and varied talks. Thank you very much.